Guys, we're going to take a look at this. The Kubey Royal. Is it really royalty or is it just a court jester? So guys, this knife came into from Jared. I know you guys already saw the title. This knife changed my mind. I had originally said that there were no knives from, I had not seen a bad knife from Kubey, and this still isn't a bad knife. But this Kubey Royal just has got some issues for me that I can't get past. So we're going to take a look at it. I'll get some stuff out for size comparisons. But first, right here is going to be a spec sheet for this Kubey Royal, which is always the hardest part of the videos, is finding the spec sheets, a good quality one. So, yeah, Kubey Royal, this is a nice little shaped blade done at D2 by CM Designs. Now, I'm going to get some blade stock thickness, behind the edge thickness, and some weight like we always do. But the rest of the specs will be in that spec sheet you saw earlier. So this is a fun little knife. Let's go ahead and let's get the specs and size comparisons out of the way. Guys, I went and grabbed my calipers. Let's look at the behind the blade stock thickness, I mean, first. 0.1235, probably 0.124 blade stock thickness. 0.1275. It's kind of varying in some places here. Let's see what we got here. 0.123. It's kind of hard to find it because it's been milled and everything out. But behind the edge thickness, let's look at that. Take a look at that. It didn't cut too badly. So right behind the edge, 0.0285, just coming up on 0.030-ish. So it's a little thicker, but it did not cut badly. So let's go ahead and get the scale and take a look at the weight real quick. So this is not a real heavy knife. Coming in ounces, coming right in at 3 1/4. In grams, 93 grams. So not real heavy. Let's get the scale out of the way.
Guys, I hate to interrupt the video because I know we're having fun, but I do have to do the YouTuber thing and remind you that this channel is self-sponsored with all the affiliate links and stuff you see down below. Anything from knives, tools, EDC gear, and Blade HQ, anything, all the Amazon links, they all support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything at checkout. So I'll talk about that at the end of the video. Now let's go back to the knives.
So this came from Jared, and this is not a real big knife. I've liked a lot of the Kubey knives that have come in. This is the first one I have really kind of gotten to where I'm like, you know what, I'm not such a big fan. It's a nice compact knife. It's not real big. It's got pretty good action. It's got a pretty nice blade shape, but I've got too many problems with the deployment. Like, I don't like front flippers or top flippers. This does have an aperture, but the knife for me is small enough that it's not a comfortable deployment, even with the reverse flick. It's got a big aperture, but for me, it's just a little too small for me really to enjoy that. So like deployment and the comfort of a knife are all things that play into me when it comes to purchase. If a knife's not comfortable, like a lot of people are like, you're always so down on the pocket clips. And it's because they cause discomfort, and a tool that's not comfortable is a tool I'm not going to use. This being a blade that is so similar to some of the other knives I have, I just would not pick this up. But overall, really quality knife. The G10 has done really well. The D2 has been ground nice and clean. It held an edge very well. We're going to be using it to unbox a package that just showed up from Jared. He sent me more knives. So you get to see it in the next handful of videos I shoot. But it's not a real big knife. We'll do some size comparison real quick. We'll do it in a second. But like I said, edge retention on it was really good. The blade grind is really good. It's a nice functional blade shape. It does come in really well for certain things like cutting around stuff. I like to cut shapes out of cardboard to test knives, like how they function. So up at the tip, you've got a nice tip. It comes down, so you're going to be able to do some detail cutting. Almost a spear point blade. Maybe a modified Warden clip if you really wanted to call it that, but it's more, I think it's more of a spear point. It just doesn't start its transition to about here. So maybe drop point, spear point. Nice flat grind. Like I said, not super thin behind the edge, but that means that the edge is going to be robust and holds up. So let's get some size comparison. I've got a couple of knives that we're going to look at as size comparison. First and foremost, we're going to use the Chris Reeve knife Sabenza because everybody should know. So you can see it's not a real big knife. I've grabbed 3 different knives we're going to take a look at, maybe 4. But so the next knife is the Ferrum Forge Gent, which is a little bit closer in size. I actually think the Royal is a little bit bigger. It actually is a bit bigger than the Ferrum Forge Gent, another great EDC knife. And so for our last knife, we are going to take a look at the Ultramar Street. So this is the small version. And so that you guys know, this is coming in just at about 7.5 inches. So you can see it's not a super small knife. It's stacking up with some mid-range size knives. So let's get this stuff out of the way. So I know a lot of you are probably like, Mike, why are you bagging on the Kubey Royal? I'm not. It's a good design. It's an overall really functional knife. It's just, it sits so close to other things that I have that fit the same purpose that the fact that it's a front flipper only and everything just kind of detracts from it. But it does cut really well. The action on it is really good. Jimping on this, because it is a front flipper, so that means that this front flipper, top flipper, they give you a good bit more jimping. The downside is the jimping is not real great. It's kind of smooth, and that's one of the problems I have with deploying it. The jimping on a front flipper should be a little bit more aggressive. It should be easier to do, but that feels kind of slick to me because there's just not much that you're going to catch on. There's not a lot of distance here. If you try to get up on it a little bit, detail cut, you could get up onto the edge. Not such a big deal, but I think that sharpening is going to be problematic. You can see that that plunge should have been a little bit bigger. You can see that the edge starts to widen, and you can see how it's going to start forming a smile over successive sharpenings. Jared sharpened this, and you can see that there is a bit of that widening forming there because the plunge is just so close to the end of the choil. It should have been brought out a little bit better, or this plunge could have been brought back a little further. Lockup on it is really good. I have no doubts that this knife would hold up under heavy use. I like the fact that they did it again. This is another one of those knives. I mention it every time I see it. They have completely hidden the liners, except right at the lock bar access, which is a very good look. I like pretty much most knives. There are some aesthetic things I don't like, but I do like when you do it. When you do the liners, either you do them well and they're attractive and they're polished, or you hide them like this so you only just have a hint of it at the lock bar access. As far as lock bar access is great. Unlocking this knife is great. I don't like jimping on lock bars. I typically am not a fan of it, but this is done in a fashion where it's not real aggressive or sharp, so it does not hurt the finger. It's pretty nice and softened, but it gives you just a little bit more of texture to grab a hold of. If you were wearing gloves, I imagine that would be great. But it is a good, easy access to the lock bar. It's done really well. The lock bar sits at about, I'm going to say 20, probably coming up on 50%, like 30 to 50%-ish on lockup as it's coming in. But I don't feel any wiggle in this knife at all. It's good and solid. Liner locks these days have gotten so much better than the ones I was used to that were just hot trash. Of course, you have that attractive Kubey pivot. And of all the things that I could say, I'm starting to really take a shine to these knives that have got the milled out areas on these composite handles. So that really is kind of nice. I'm not 100% sure if that was maybe pressed that way, that the G10 was pressed into molds that way, or if they milled it out and then finished it. I really don't care. I find it attractive. Not only is it attractive, but on this knife with it being a little bit smaller, see, I'm not a fan of that. When you get it in hand and you're holding it, you can feel that, and it just feels like you've got a little bit more to hold on to. So it gives you some actual tactile feelings on that. Reversible pocket clip, I know that that's a selling point for some people. It's not a big deal for me. It is reversible. It does have a lanyard hole. This pocket clip, as much as I dislike these style pocket clips where they taper up to such a high point, on this knife, because of the size of the knife and where it's positioned, it's really not an issue. So of all the things I can say about this knife, well, that's not going to be one of them, that the pocket clip is a hot spot. I will say it is fairly small. It does carry very well. If you're looking for something that's a nice, light-duty, smaller carry, I know that we looked at it next to a couple other larger knives, but like I said, it's coming in at just about 7 inches. And it carries really small. It's not for a 7-inch knife, it doesn't quite feel like it. It feels quite really compact. It carries nice and clean. You can carry it because it's a deep carry pocket clip. You can carry it forward in your pocket. So if this is your pocket and here's your zipper, like the front part of the pocket, you can drop this down in, and then towards the back part of the pocket, something that might be a little prouder sticking up because that's, you know, closer to the inseam. That is really nice. I do appreciate when they do have a good deep carry pocket clip that allows you to carry back or, you know, carry up forward closer to the zipper front of the pocket. One of the problems I have with this knife is this, while this is a nice deep carry pocket clip, this is too thin and it walks around in the pocket. So if you're going to do a deep carry pocket clip, find a way to do it comfortably on the knife, because this was done that way. Like I said, the way it's positioned in that knife is not at all uncomfortable. So if the pocket clip's comfortable, I'm not such a big hater of deep carry pocket clips. D2 on this obviously was done really well. I did cut a bunch of cardboard with this. So I do know that it held an edge really well. Jared does a pretty good job. D2 is another one of those steels that, like, he does diamond stones, so it's going to look a little bit different, but that's probably about an 800 grit edge at the most, 600-800 grit. It does really well. D2 takes a nice toothy edge. It cuts really clean. So if you're looking for something like this and you don't mind the fact it's a front flipper, I would probably say go for it. It's probably going to be something that would be up your alley. For me, it's just like I said, I've got too many other knives that fit that same purpose. It would be a no for me because it's a front flipper. It's a little small, so I'm having a problem with my big hands getting down into that. And then the fact that the jimping is so soft, like even to do a front flipper, it feels like I'm slipping off a bunch of times. So not a horrible review, not a bunch of really bad stuff, but most of that is just stuff that is me based, like things that I don't like. I will say I do like how some of these front flippers, and I mentioned it before, have an abundance of jimping further up the blade. I am a big fan of useful jimping. I just wish that this was a little sharper. You can jimp the entire spine of the blade if you want for me, and that I love the way that feels. I'm not such a big fan of the aesthetics of jimping, but the functionality I definitely do. This is getting into that realm where that's just almost there for looks and not for purpose. Guys, not to make this take any longer, let's turn this around and do some final thoughts and talk about affiliates and all that stuff. So yeah, guys, the Kubey Royal, this is the first of those knives that Jared has sent me I don't really like. And it's just a matter of my personal opinions and things like that. It's not a bad knife at all. It just has some little minor things that make it not a knife for me. I'm not a fan of top flippers, front flippers, and I have big hands, so it just feels a little tight and constrained. But overall, good-sized EDC knife and with a nice blade shape. So that's it on this one, guys. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down. But please try to tell me why. I can't change that content if you don't tell me what you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's simple as like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon. If you do hit the bell icon, make sure that you've got notifications turned on your device or you will not get notified of the 7, soon to be 9 videos that go up a week. Other ways you can support the channel if you want to do it financially. I have a membership down below that is tier-based. Pick the tier that suits you best. Everyone saves $5 off my sharpening service. Everyone has access to the Gilded server. Premium and baseline tier members are automatically entered into a giveaway that I do on the Gilded server, and the premium tier members have access to a sharpening tutorial series. Other ways are, I talked about it in the video, I have got a ton of affiliate links down below. I'm trying to get a new one for you guys. Anything you purchase with those affiliate links directly supports the channel, but it doesn't cost you anything at checkout. So if you're going to do some shopping, please use my Amazon links. And if you're going to buy a knife, please use the Blade HQ because they've got a huge selection. And the final way is I have a merchandise on Ember Shirt Co. where you can purchase my merchandise or other creators' merchandise, but I've set up a coupon code that works anywhere on Ember Shirt Co. That coupon code is CrazySharp, all one word, capital C, capital S, CrazySharp. Saves you 10% at checkout. And if you take pictures of you wearing my merchandise and send them to me, I will put them in a video. Guys, I love you all. Keep it clean in the comment section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I will see you next time.